I am doing this myself today. So we'll see. There, we are live. Excellent. I mean, I can see everybody in the chat. I can't see myself. It's all good. It's probably better that way. I hope everybody is having a great Saturday. It's a little gloomy here today. We had a little bit of rain last night and we're expecting some more tonight, but not a bad thing. It is April after all. We need some rain in the month of April. If we don't get the rain, we won't see Mayflowers. So today we're going to be painting fresh local honey. Anything to do with bees, bumblebees, sunflowers, honey. All of that stuff really appeals to me. So I thought this was a simple one. It's a fun one to do. It's really not a difficult one. It's just to sit back, relax, and have some fun with some color. That's what we're going to be doing today. Just having a little bit of fun. So, but before we do that, let's talk about a couple of things. One, unfortunately, I'm doing this myself today, so I can't operate the wheel. So we won't have a wheel until later tonight. So we will have some giveaways, but I'll post them on the group page, on the Tracy Morrow Live page, so that you can see who the winners are. We do have giveaways. We have some fun things. We have some nice brushes from Dynasty Brush. We have some wonderful pencil sets. We have some stencils. And of course, we always have some goodies from both Renee and myself to throw in there. And all packaged up in a nice little Create bag. So we do have some goodies to give away today. Just don't have a wheel. Renee is off doing his his first aid recertification. He's not happy about it, but he'll get over it. So for the next 2 days, his weekend is being chewed up by a first aid course. So he is not here. He did, however, give me a crash course in how to fix things if things go sideways. So if you lose the picture or if the sound goes out, please type it in the window for the chat so that I know something's broken. He did walk me through it. If it's something that I can't fix, he's a text away. So we're going to have fun today. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, everything goes smoothly. So before we get started, I do want to say hello to a few people. To Susan Fanning from I'm going to say that's Virginia, North Virginia. And Cindy Jansen. Hi, Cindy. And Marlene Dombrowski, hello, from Pennsylvania. Did I say that right? Or is that Philadelphia? No, Pennsylvania, right? And Connie Gieslin, hello, Connie. I'm so glad you came to relax, because that's what this should be. It should be fun and easy going. And Sandra from Oregon. I know there's going to be a lot of people missing today simply because the Pacific Coast Decorative Painting Convention is on this weekend, or retreat, whatever you want to call it. I would have loved to have gone. We used to have a great time when we were in Portland every year, Portland or Seattle. And unfortunately, with things the way they are these days, I can't travel there. But I'm certainly going to miss going because there's some really great painters and some really great people out there. And Gail Jensen from sunny Utah, and Bobby Corey from Chile, Georgia. Must be, well, if they're saying it's chilly in Georgia, it's probably about what we're getting here. It's not balmy by any stretch. And Penny Frederick from Florida. Hi. And there's Debbie Bugman Easton. Hello from New York. And Sandy Hutton Scales. Hello, Sandy. I always love seeing your name in the chat. And Denise Chavez. And Deb Pels. Hello, Deb. Good morning. Oh, it's next to DC. Oh, okay. That's where you are. And Tina from Maine. Maine or New Hampshire. I know you're from the East Coast. So, and Carol Colbert, cold in Arkansas. Isn't that like Arkansas is way down south? I would expect it to be a bit warmer, but yeah, it's been a really weird weather. Indianapolis. Nice. And Pat Reeder in Utah. Wonderful. A beautiful spring day. Good for you. So we're going to have a blast today. This is just such a fun. Yes, you are my neighbor, Tina. I knew you were from Maine or very close to it. So yes, I'm glad to hear it's Maine. Beautiful state. And Bonnie Dixon from Arizona. Awesome. And Kay Reynolds. Hello, Kay. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so glad that you all came to play in puddles of paint with me today. Oh, you had thunderstorms and an earthquake. Goodness. I don't. Your temperatures have been up and down like a roller coaster. Ours were more like, the kiddie ride. We go from single digits to double digits and not really high double digits either. So it's still a little bit brisk here. And Linda Grass, hello. And Joan Schoen from Wisconsin. Oh, my stars. We've got everybody in here. And Kelly Davis. Awesome. It's so much fun reading all of these names and seeing where you were from. It's awesome. And Sue Braun from North Idaho. There's another pretty state. It's one of those states that goes unmentioned or unnoticed for so long, but I've been through it so many times, and it's just such a pretty state. May 2nd, seriously, snow? Yeah. We had some pretty heavy rain the other day, and there was a few snowflakes mixed in with it. It was just obscene this time of year. Okay, if you guys are ready to get started on fresh local honey, so am I. Yeah, waiting things. There it is. So I'm working on an 8x8 panel. This is just a simple piece of 1/8 inch MDF. I love working on these in this size because they're easy to frame, and these make neat pieces of art for your home. That's one of the reasons I like this. I have a penchant for old signage, vintage signage, and product labels and fruit labels and things like that. I love the look of it. And so that's, if you're ever wondering why I tend to lean that way, that's why. And I thought this would be fun to do this on a panel. I did the original on a canvas. Pardon me, I'm losing my voice today. I did the original one on canvas. And although it turned out pretty nice, there's a few things about it I'm not keen on, but that's okay. I've painted this one like 3 times. And on canvas, I just couldn't get the look that I really wanted, but it turned out cute nonetheless. And this is cute, mounted into one of those little tripod stands. It's very colorful. I love the colors. I love the subject matter. And but the one thing I didn't like is that the texture of the canvas just kind of didn't really do it for me. And I think that's my biggest issue with it. And so for today, I decided I was going to do it on a wooden surface. And I chose this. This is an 8x8 panel. And I chose a 2-inch bee. You can, there is a bee in the line drawing. So if you don't like the big wooden one, you can always trace on the little one that's in the line drawing. And I have these. These are these little, this is like a kickstand. just a little stand to help keep the signage sitting upright. So if you decide you don't want to frame it or hang it, you can always go with this method, which is simply adhere this portion to the back at the center of the piece. Adhere it with a good quality craft glue. And then once it's completely dry, adhere this little wedge in it. And it will provide a nice stable little stand for the surface. And if you really want to make them very stable, you can do 2. I tend to lean towards 1, especially because this is not a heavy surface, so it doesn't really need two stands, but it works quite well. And I have a 2-inch laser cut bee. I wanted something a little bit bigger than what I used. And it can go wherever you want. It could go dead smack in the middle of the of the beehive, or the skep as it's called, like this, or it can go like this, or it can go wherever you want to put it. That's the nice part about it. Or you can stick with the little small bee, the little doodled one that we have here, and you can choose to put a couple of them in. So we shall see how we feel about it as the day goes on, but this is our starting point. The background for this one is done with a coat of deep midnight blue. It's one of my favorite blues to work with. I love it because it's a very rich blue. It covers nicely. It has a nice opaque finish. This is it here. And if you're looking for it, if you don't have it in your stash, the item number is DA166. This is a Decor Americana Deep Midnight Blue. I love this color. I use this one a lot, especially in country themed pieces, because it has that vibe. There's that little gray undertone and it has depth, and it's just a really beautiful blue for this type of project. Now, the other color we're going to use for this background is called Mountain Mist. And this is one of the new colors this year. This one is a blue-gray. It's more gray than blue. I love the tone of this. It's just, it reminds me of acid-washed denim. So yes, it looks gray, but it's a cool gray. It has a really nice blue vibe to it. So that's the color we're going to use for this background. So we only need a little bit. And I know this is a new color. You may not be able to get it yet. I do believe it is available on the Decor website. So if you're looking for it, the item number is DA449. And it is one of the new colors. There's 12 new colors this year. Wow, big lineup. But this one jumped out at me. I love this Mountain Mist. It's just such a great blue-gray, and it works so well. We're going to use a chicken wire stencil. Now, when I first did this one, I seriously considered using one called Bubble Wrap, but I really wanted something a little less busy. I wanted it quite open, so I decided to use the chicken wire instead. I wanted to get that country feel. You could certainly use a honeycomb pattern if you wanted to. But again, that's entirely up to you. There's nothing that says it has to be chicken wire. You can do whatever your little heart desires. You know, I have to find a reasonably clean stencil brush. There we go. So, I'm going to load up my brush with a little bit of that Mountain Mist. And we're going to apply a light application of this. I don't want a ton of this color on there. And it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be neat and tidy. It doesn't even need to be fully opaque. We just need to get a little pattern back there. As I said, to kind of break up that background a bit. Yep. And it's a Country Bear Woodcraft. Country Bear Wood, or Création Country Bear. If you're in Canada, we'll have, they are a Decor distributor, so they will have the Decor new colors shortly. Ooh, I like it. So, doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to line it up again. Like so. And I'm going to tape that in place, and we'll cover the entire surface. It does not have to be perfect. There you go. If you don't have the new color, can I suggest a substitute? Of course I can. If you can't find the new color, try this one. Williamsburg Blue. This is an older color. It's just a little darker than the Mountain Mist, but it's in the same color, the tonal range. So it's perfect for this. You can easily use this as a substitute. And the color number for that one is DA040. So if you're looking for it on the DecoArt website, and if you're shopping on the DecoArt website, make sure that you type in the coupon code Tracy M15, and that all one word, that will give you a discount on the DecoArt website. You can't go wrong with a little discount. And a little is better than none. Oof, Dorothy Holgate. It's chilly in Pennsylvania, is it? I think it's chilly all over the eastern part of the U.S. I know it's a little chilly here. Okay, what did I miss? The stuff I used for the texture peeled off. Okay, what? I missed the first half of that. What's the substitute for matcha green? You can use margarita, olive green. You just need a high yellow green. I don't have a coupon code for Stockade. I'm sorry. Dawn, can you tell me what you're having trouble with? I'll be happy to help. Having a medium peel off at any time, any kind of texture medium, simply means it's not adhering to the surface. If I know what medium you were using, I might be able to guide you a little better. Yeah. Oh, Lorraine, I have no idea, but I have the same issue. It drives me bananas. I have to constantly refresh the page on Facebook. Hi, Jill. Dimensional effects. What were you putting it over? Just regular Americana? Dimensional effects usually adheres quite well. So I'm not sure why. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It usually adheres beautifully to Americana. However, that being said, it may have a problem with a medium. If it was put on after it was sealed or sprayed, that might be a problem. Dimensional Effects is an older product. It may quite simply have been too old. It depends. I mean, the sad part is especially with older products, there's a lot of different ways that it can go sideways. Yay, Jess! Jess is here. Yeah, Jess, you're getting the same weather we're getting. It's ick. Oh, wow, it peeled when I put the light buttermilk. Oh, it peeled after the base coat. Okay, wow. You know what? Check the container for the dye lot or the lot number, and then send an email to DecoArt explaining the problem. Even send them a picture if you can. You can email it to me and I can forward it to whoever needs it. If you want to, you can just email me at tmoreau@decoart.com. And I'll see that it gets to whoever needs it, and with your contact info so that they can reach out. There we go. We've got chicken wire, baby. Hi, Debbie Carlton. Oh, I'm so glad you like the shells. I had a lot of fun doing those. So we have chicken wire on our surface. I'm going to grab my sander. I've got this nifty little rig. This is a gator. And I have to, a good friend sent me this as a gift. And it has very rapidly become an absolute essential in the studio. I love this thing. So I'm going to sand this just lightly. I don't want to destroy the paint job, but I want to wear through that stencil pattern a little bit. Heaven forbid anything should remain just exactly the way I put it on there. I love distressing things. I'm not a fan of seeing things absolutely perfect. And if you're looking for this thing is fantastic. It comes with a whole raft of sanding pads, so you can change them out, different abrasive settings. Fantastic, great little rig. Now I'm going to, there's Mary Davis. Hello, sweetheart. And Linda Morgan. I'm going to distress my edges a little, because I like my edges distressed. I mean, I'm distressed, so my edges are worn, so everything else should be too. There we go. I love this look. I like that, where the paint is worn away in places. This just appeals to me in a lot of ways. Hi, Jill. It's a cute little pattern. I mean, I have this obsession with anything to do with bees and honey and whatnot. So I love this color combination with these rich golds and yellows, and look at that. Now I'm going to wipe this down with a little bit of water. Once you get all that dust off, and then you can see how much it's worn, and I love that look. So if I pull this up to the camera, I love those little worn spots where it's gone right through the pattern. Awesome. Love it. And then I'll take my little, love this little thing too. This heat it tool is just, you can tell that I love my little gator, and I love my heat it tool. I've been through 3 of these. I have killed 2 others. Sad to say it, but I've literally worn them out. So we have nice distressed. You can decide which way you want the pattern to run. If you wanted to put it on diagonally, however you want to do it is perfectly fine. So the next color we're going to use is a little bit of Prussian blue. Notice we're staying with all of these blue tones. I love the blue tones. And I'm going to, where is my big angled shader? There it is. I have one of those angled shaders that doesn't get used for, oh, Taz, what are you doing? You're trashing the place there, kitten. Taz came for a visit. This angled shader doesn't get used for too much more than what I'm going to use it for now. I'm going to take that angled shader and I'm going to float around the outside edge with a little bit of Prussian blue. like to thin it out a little bit, just so that it's not, you know, a solid black line around the outside edge. Taz, you're blocking the monitor. It's fascinating, isn't it? Don't chew that brush. There's going to be a little black face. There we go. Hi, kitten. For those of you that don't know, this is Taz. You know what, Denise? I think everybody does need a Taz in their life. It'll keep you on your toes. Hey, kitten. She keeps stealing things off my desk like they're her toys and she's entitled to them. I use these little Velcro tapes to tie all my cables together. And, you know, the cables to my Cricut and the cables to the, you know, the other little appliances that don't come out every day, so they're not always plugged in. So, and she steals them. And then I find them, you know, under my bed or on my bed or wherever. But I never find them back on my desk where they were. Okay, we're going to call it help for now. So I've got a nice wide float all the way around the outside. Taz does not like this heat it tool. Ta-da! But she is most definitely my cat. And her cuddle buddy in the evening. Hey, kitty. There we are. So we've got a nice dark border around the outside edge, but it's still subtle. We don't want a black band or a super dark band around it, but it's subtle. So I'm going to grab a little bit of asphaltum. I'm going to have a Taz nose print. Well, the other half of this desk has Taz paw prints all over it. Tazzy, behave. So we're going to give that blue on the outside edge just a little aging with a float of asphaltum. Does not have to be perfect. We just want to keep this blue from getting a little too cold. A little asphaltum into the corners. Did I prep the canvas? Yes. Ordinarily, I mix a little bit of all-purpose sealer with my base color, and I put the first 2 coats of base color is usually that mixture, and then I finish with 1 coat of the just the paint. There we are. So I'm going to dry this. Uh-oh. Taz found a ladybug. There we are. So dry that float really well, and then we're going to put a very light wash of thinned asphaltum over the whole surface. So very thin wash, very watery. And I try to do this all in one direction. So if I start vertically, I continue vertically. That way it follows the lines of the direction that I sanded. It follows the lines of the way I applied my base color. There we go. And that all that does is just tones things very subtly. There we go. And we're going to dry that. Oh, somebody's asking me a question there, Taz. There you go. Hey. Is there a specific reason for floating versus the blue towel? This is much lighter. I like the blue towel application for heavier shading. This one is much lighter. So anytime I opt for the brush, it's because it's a little bit lighter around the edges. It's not a heavy antiquing. A lot of the time when I'm using that cloth, it's because there is lots of antiquing going on. So this is fairly subtle. And that's what I want. So now that we've got that done, I'm going to trim my line drawing and we're ready to trace and transfer it. Ta-da! See, I got a little bumblebee down here at the bottom, and I can put those wherever I choose. But I generally want about 1/2 inch from the top to 3/4 of an inch. I made it a little too narrow. But centered in the middle, and I want, about 1 inch, I guess. And the same on this side, so I'm going to tape that down so that it does not move. Hi, Corinna. Nice to see you, dear. So there we go. We are ready to trace and transfer. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of white graphite. I'm going to use my very best worn one because I have a new sheet and I don't like it. Isn't that terrible? I got a brand new sheet of white graphite paper and I don't like it. I am, however, going to test to make sure I've got it going the right way because I did this last week. So if you haven't seen it already, this is the project we're doing next Saturday. I absolutely love this one. And this is a beginner's piece. I know it scares the pants off of some of you, but it is a beginner's piece. It is not a difficult one to paint. And we're going to have so much fun with this one. But this is our piece for next Saturday. I've got Home Sweet Home written on it. I just thought it needed a little something, but I absolutely love this one. So this is what we're doing next Saturday. Yay! Hi, Deb. There's Deborah. And I saw Nance up there. How you doing, buddy? I love daisies. I think they're my favorite flower. Okay, I need my ruler. So, this is one of my favorite tools for tracing lettering. Oh, painting with Marco. Oh, he's such a fabulous teacher. And he's an amazing artist. I agree, Cindy. That's exactly what I was thinking. So on the verticals and on those squared off horizontals, this is where this comes in handy, using a steel edged ruler. And there's a couple of reasons why I suggest using a steel edge. Steel edge is a lot more forgiving than, say, a plastic one. You can trace in those little tiny curves freehand, but those straight, absolutely straight lines, they need to be straight so that you get nice crisp lettering. So on the verticals, those long verticals, those inside verticals, like so. The curved ones you can freehand. They're a lot more forgiving. But those straight lines, like at the bottoms of these letters, those need to be straight. And you can freehand those little curves in quite easily. And those things are important when you're doing lettering. If letters look wonky, thicker at the top, skinnier at the bottom, and they don't have those nice straight lines where you expect to see straight lines, they tend to be very distracting. It's like walking into a room and seeing crooked paintings on the walls. If you're anything like me, your first instinct is to go straighten them, because it drives me bananas. Crooked paintings on walls drive me bananas. Now, I do not expect lettering ever to be perfect. In a case like this, you're painting what would have been a hand-painted sign in the 1930s. It would have been out at the end of somebody's driveway, or at the end of the laneway. So I love the idea that a lot of these old signs were hand painted, so they were not perfect. The letters were not always exactly the same size. They weren't always perfectly level, but they were close. And so when you're tracing, this just makes things a whole lot easier. It is so much easier to paint a straight line when you're painting against a straight line. And then you don't have to drive yourself nuts trying to get things perfect. And I'm watching the chat there. Yeah, Jill, more daisies. I love daisies. The thing about daisies is that they support basic stroke work. Learning to paint certain things requires that you learn certain strokes, and it's all about brush control. So if you have a class where you can paint daisies, practice those C strokes, those comma strokes, it makes such a big difference when you're good at it. Now, stroke work has never been a particular favorite of mine. But that doesn't mean that I don't understand precisely why the stroke work is important. It does teach you tremendous brush control. And if you can do a comma stroke in both directions, left and right, you've got it licked. So you'll see what I mean when I paint those letters. I'm just going to quickly trace these in. I can do them fairly smoothly, but we'll be here forever if I don't. Oh my goodness, Karen. I have a a pattern, the category the daisies fall into. They are Asteracea. And there are literally thousands of different types that fall into that category. And you'd be surprised at what flowers also join daisies in that category. Everything from echinacea is in there, and so are sunflowers, as well as asters. So it's so interesting to see how many colors of daisies there are. There's yellow ones, there's little pink ones, there's so many varieties of them. Just the simple daisy. Then there's oxeye daisies, and there's just hundreds of different varieties. But it was so neat to discover that sunflowers fall into the same category. They're just sort of like the daisy's big bright cousin. Did I lose sound on YouTube? Hello? Oh, I love Shasta daisies. I have some of those in my gardens. Okay, no sound. Hang on. Got sound back? Okay. Excellent. You can hear me. Oh, good. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, if you're missing sound, it's not on our end. I just went and checked. Renee did train me well. Just means I have to get up off my chair and go over to the other computer and... Excellent. Okay, so... Fabulous. Okay, so I'm almost finished with all this lettering. Like I said, I decided to speed it up a little bit. Heaven forbid. Okay. And we're going to trace the skep, the bee skep. We always call this the beehive, and it's not technically the beehive. The hive is actually the group of bees. This is called a skep. And they were usually made out of straw or bits of willow. And some were even made out of jute. Fascinating some of these were made, how some of these are made. And today we make them into, they're not technically a skep. They have the boxes that contain the hive. Good morning. Hi, Diane. And Janice Cap. Hello. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with this one. Just bear with me here while I get this traced on here. Do the bees make them? No, actually the bees don't make them. They were woven or put together by the beekeeper as a means of housing the bees. Today we use the boxes with the, you see the boxes at the in the fields. We have a local beekeeper here, and his boxes, beehives or whatever you want to call them, they are extraordinary. He has them in various places. He puts them out with a variety of farmers, and so that it flavors the honey in different ways. Yeah, skeps are... Yeah. Oh, Gail, that's so cool. Your husband's a beekeeper. I don't know enough about beekeeping. Skeps are an old thing. They date back a very long time, but beekeepers in the last century have been using boxes. So, I know skeps at this point are mostly used for decorative purposes. So you don't see them very often. Beekeepers don't use them very often anymore, if at all. Oh. It's so strange that YouTube was a problem and not Facebook. I have so many issues with Facebook. So we're going to be doing some little sunflowers. I just think sunflowers and beekeeping. Wonder where bees made honey before. Oh, they would make these massive hives. Huge, big honeycombs. They would hide them inside trees. They still do in the wild. Wild honeybees still do that. They build inside trees and inside buildings. Whatever they can find to protect their hive and keep it out of the bulk of the bad weather. They are remarkably resilient. Terribly fragile and remarkably resilient all at the same time. There we go. Now I'm going to choose where my bee is going to go a little further down the line. But I've got everything on here. So I'll keep my line drawing handy. Put my graphite away. And my ruler. And I'll put my paint away. Otherwise, I end up with this mess everywhere. So we have a little bit of Prussian blue on our palette. So we're going to work with that. And I'm going to grab a 3/8 angled shader. Yeah, fingers crossed. Don't jinx it there, Denise. So I've got a little bit of Prussian blue. I'm going to blend this out really well to float it. And we're going to float into the right side of the lettering. Just a little float. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to create a little bit of depth. This just helps that lettering stand up a little bit. So you don't need them to be really dark, but we do need a little. Oh, There is nothing like fresh honey. We have a lavender farmer not far from here. And they have their beehives or bee boxes or colonies, whatever you call them, set up in the middle of the lavender. And so it serves dual purpose. It helps pollinate the lavender, so they have really great crops of lavender, but it also flavors the honey. And so their honey is very popular around here. So I'm going to bring a little bit of that Prussian blue in behind the skep and a little bit around these sunflowers. Just a little. It doesn't have to be perfect. Lavender honey is fabulous. I'm keeping my eyes on my lavender. I'm hoping it survived the winter. We didn't get much snow, but we did get some pretty nippy temperatures. So certain strains of lavender do well here. French lavender does not, but English lavender does. I had French lavender, for about 6 years. I had a beautiful crop of lavender up front. And then it just suddenly, one winter, it just did not survive it. And so when it came time to plant that year, I opted to put in English lavender, and it's done very well. I now have 2 or 3 plants that seem to be thriving in that one bed. So I'm really hoping that they held up, but they didn't look too good when I looked at the beds last week. I'm not seeing any new growth, and I'm not seeing any color returning to the leaves. So hopefully, I will see a little bit more positive. There we go. So I've got a little Prussian blue in and around that skep. Do bees cohabit? No, the wasps around here will kill them. Yeah. Like I said, English lavender does better than the French in general. French lavender has a nicer, it has a richer scent, but it's also a bit more delicate, the plants. The English lavender has lovely scent, and the plants are a lot more hardy. Oh, watermelon honey would be good. Yum. Okay, so we've got fabulous. Everything's got that nice shading in behind. It's not a ton, but we have enough that it's going to lift this off the surface a little. So we're going to start with, I get the right color here. We're going to start with warm white. And the item number for that one is DA239. And I forgot to give you the color number for asphaltum, which was that wash we put over everything. And that is DA180. Those item numbers are handy, especially if you're ordering through DecoArt, especially on their website. It's so much simpler if you can just type in the item number when you need to order. It'll come up instead of hunting through the list. So I've got a little bit of warm white, and we're going to thin it out a little bit. We don't need to have it super thick. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to put a little bit of white like this. Neatness does not count for this. We're just going to paint in those segments of the scap. And I'm going to leave a little space in between each segment. This just makes things so much easier. A little further down the line, when it comes time to do some shading, it'll help you with placement. I generally leave a tiny narrow space between the various parts of anything that I paint, simply because I hate tracing things. To me, it takes up so much time, and I don't want to have to do it again if I don't have to. Ugh. So keep that nice and thin. And I always like starting with the background first, the stuff that's furthest away. It just works well. Here we are. And I've left my little space. So let's dry that. Well, here in Canada, we don't plant anything until after the May long. For us, a lot of people call it the 2-4 weekend. But most Canadians refer to it as the May long. And that's usually the weekend that everybody goes and opens the cottage or turns their gardens over and starts planting. Oh, Spanish lavender is heaven. It's tall though. English lavender has this really nice, it gets a nice stalk on it. It's a little bushier, a little thicker, but it gets a really nice stalk on it. So if you want to make wands or anything like that, it works really well. So our next color, next thing we're going to do, I'm going to rinse that out. We're going to switch to a rigger, and we're going to base this word honey with warm white. If I can find my rigger. Ah, there it is. It was hiding. Because our lettering down here is going to be yellow, I want to put a coat of white under it first. The thing about lavender, if you can, go out before it starts to green up, go out and prune it back, cut it right back. Any new growth that you see, just leave that alone, but cut the old growth right back. And you'll get a really nice result. Oh, I know precisely what you mean, Jessica. I don't know that I could paint without warm white or asphaltum. I think I might be, a little overly dependent on those two colors. Okay, so I've got a base coat of white on that. I'm going to do the same thing to all of the lettering, all of the letters in the word honey. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. Because we're using a yellow and it's very... Jessica, if you wouldn't mind, could somebody remove Melissa from the chat? I think they're on Facebook, though. No, that you can do. There we go. I don't know if any of you know what it's like to use salbutamol. It's an asthma medication. I make a point of taking my medication first thing in the morning. Before I even think of coming down to the studio, because it makes my hands shake. Something terrible. So I walk around just vibrating for about a good half hour after I take it. So it literally, I look like a junkie. It's just shake like crazy for a good half hour after I take it. And it takes a while for it to settle down. But once it does, I'm fine. But I find that is perhaps the most frustrating side effect of that medication, is that I get the shakes. And every once in a while, it just doesn't settle down. It's like, nope, we're going to torture you for the rest of the day, just to see how much patience you've got. And yesterday, I was finishing off putting the final details on my members group project for the month of May. And, oh my Lord, my hands were shaking so bad. And I kept looking at the piece and I was getting more and more frustrated. So I had to set it down, but it just sort of, it was driving me bananas. And it seems to be worse when you're trying to focus on doing something. No worries, Jessica. I think they had their say and left. It's all good. And I think it was a bot anyway, so. Not that it was, offensive or anything. It was just, just not appropriate for the live, that's all. Or at least I didn't find it offensive by any stretch. Okay. So our letters are now white. So I'm going to make sure that this is really dry. Hi, Lisa. Oh, we haven't even started the detail work yet. And Kathy M. Good to have you here. Oh, thank you, Donna. Asphaltum is like a great toning color. A lot of people really like Payne's Gray, which is also a great toning color. I like things warmer. To me, Payne's Gray tends to be a little on the cooler side, and so I tend not to use it. I like warmer tones, so I gravitate towards Asphaltum instead. But either or, quite honestly. So because our flowers are also going to be yellow, I'm looking for my little tiny round here. I have a little teeny tiny round. Oh, there's one, but that's not the one I want. I'm playing musical brushes. That's my filbert. Okay, I guess that will have to do. I can't find my teeny tiny one, so this is the one we're going to use. I'm using this one is a number 4 round. This is one of those Evo Art brushes. I believe they're starting to hit stores now. It always takes so long when they first introduce a brush. So it always takes so long for them to get them to market, as they say. So I'm going to stroke in a few petals here. I'm going to keep them try to keep them as pointy as I can. Now that little bit of white over top here is just to block that blue. That's all it is. Whenever you're painting a lighter color or a color that leans into the transparent zone, like yellows are notorious, I like to put down a coat of either warm white or a little bit of white gesso. It has a few benefits. You're not going to have to apply as many layers of color. Because you're blocking that blue. If you didn't, then you would be fighting against that dark blue with all of that yellow and drive yourself crazy in the process. So it's just a loose stroke. It does not have to be perfect. You're just filling in the space. Good morning from Timmins. Denise, one of the places you might check is Dick Blick. Another one is Jerry's Artorama. Both of those companies, first of all, they stock Dynasty brushes. So I think if you try there, you might be okay. I know it's frustrating when you see a brush you really want to try and you can't find it anywhere. I know that the brush guys don't stock them yet. The Evo Art, I like the rounds in particular because I find they're quite soft. And they do a nice job. There we go. And as I said, we're not looking for perfection from this. We're just looking for something to fill that space. So if you find a nice small number 3 or a number 2 in your favorite brush line, whatever you're most comfortable with. So, pretty cool. So anytime you're doing something like this, especially if you're working with a color that you think might be a little too transparent, there is absolutely nothing wrong with putting down a layer of thinned warm white. It will help you in the end because you're not having to put down 4 or 5 coats. Generally, when I do this, I can get away with 1 coat of my base color over top of the warm white. Did I say evil art? No, Evo art is what these are called. And these are quite nice, and they're quite soft. They feel almost like a sable brush. They have a nice little snap, but still a really soft bristle. Yeah, Dick Blick carries my my riggers as well. And something you'll notice when I'm doing this, I'm just stroking the color in. I'm not particularly concerned with, applying it like a base coat. It's just putting in a little paint. That's all we need to do. And if the edges of the leaves are rough, like look at this. This is not perfection. There we go. Yay. Easy peasy. So I'm going to dry this really well, and we're going to start by painting the skep. And this is super easy. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and dry. Linda Skorson. Nancy Ficardi just registered for Nat. Oh my stars. Here we go. Just make sure everything is good and dry. Hey Linda, how are ya? Here we go. So we're going to start with that bee skep, and the color I chose for that is salted caramel. I think this is one of my favorite colors. Came out in 24. The paint number, the color number for this is DA420. Oops, well, that was rude. So I have my favorite brush. And we're working with a number 5 round. And we're going to paint right over everything. Just like so. I love this color. It's sort of a golden brown. Does look like caramel. Hi, Patty. Patty Berg. The days run together, don't they just sometimes? This week has just been absolutely insane. So I had endless issues in the past week, mostly having to do with technology. And they just seem to like compound each other. Trying to upload video, trying to do anything has just been ridiculous. So last week my website went down for no reason, like no apparent reason anyway. It just went down, and I got in touch with the company that hosts it for me, and they got me all sorted out. But by the time they got me all sorted out, it had been down for like 5 hours. So got that sorted out. And it was just one thing after another. All of it was technology issues. Trying to get videos uploaded, trying to stay online was another job altogether. Then lost the power. It was just one thing after another. And then I thought, okay, well, you know what? Crap happens. sort it out, get it fixed, move on. No problem. And then Monday comes along and it all started over again. I had connections issues with the internet. Just pick a mystery. I was just having one of those weeks. And then on Tuesday, I went to type something. I was trying to type up a pattern and I couldn't. It wouldn't let me. The software wouldn't work and I couldn't figure out why. And then I finally got the software working and then my keyboard backed it in. So if for whatever reason it was typing 3s instead of E's, and it was getting numbers mixed up with letters, and I had no idea what the heck was going on. So Renee was trying to help me with it, and he picked it up to check out the keyboard and water ran out of it. So somewhere along the line, some water got spilled on my keyboard, unbeknownst to me, and drowned my keyboard. So it shorted out, and then I had to wait 3 days to get a new one. So it arrived late yesterday afternoon. So I have a new keyboard and a new mouse. So we'll see how the rest of the week goes. But I've just had endless tech issues this week. Nothing dramatic, but just, little things. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, Donna. Well, I know that feeling. We have a massive oak tree in our backyard. And I would be willing to bet that it's at least 150 years old, if not older. It's huge. I mean, the trunk of it, 3 people could go arm in arm around. It's a massive tree. And we were sitting having dinner one night and we heard this horrible crack. And then we heard it hit the ground. It literally shook the house. And went out and it had come off of the oak tree on my neighbor's lawn and landed in her flower beds. It was just, but it was huge, huge tree. Looks like we had a few gremlins. Oh yeah, we had gremlins. So I'm going to take a little bit of asphaltum and I'm going to paint the centers of my little sunflowers. Just with a little circle of asphaltum. Don't overthink it, just paint the center. It doesn't have to be perfect. Hey Charmaine, how is it going? Are you guys all set up for the... I've been watching you online. So many terrific teachers out there. Okay, so we have sunflowers. Oh my heavens. It was Monday. You know what? It's sitting there for like 4 hours trying to figure out what was wrong with my computer. At first I thought I had a virus, and then it was just trying to figure out what was wrong, only to have my son pick up the keyboard and water runs out of it. And I have no idea how that happened. Not a clue. So I'm going to dry this. And then we're going to start creating some texture on this. I love sunflowers. Hey, Nance. You went to Facebook. How come? So this part is fun because you're... Taz. Oh, it was Taz. I wouldn't be surprised, except for the one small problem. I don't keep an open container near my computer. That's number one. And two, everything else around the keyboard was bone dry. Bone dry. The desk was dry. I have a large mouse pad that covers the top of my desk, and it was bone dry. So I have no idea what happened to this keyboard, but yeah, it was made for an interesting day. So I've got baby duck, probably my all-time favorite yellow. No, it was water. Believe me, that thought crossed my mind. But no, it was water. So I have a little bit of baby duck, and if you're wondering what the color number is, it's DA 421. I love that color. And we're going to take a little bit of baby duck and a little puddle. I don't know if you can see this. A little puddle of salted caramel. And I'm just putting a little bit of baby duck in it. All I want to do is make that salted caramel a little bit. Maybe, Cheryl. Who knows? Lucinda, 93 watching, only 52 likes. What gives? Yeah, what gives? If you like the stream, like the stream. We have a total of 145 viewers today. So you're going to take that little lighter value that you mixed, and you're going to put a stripe of it right in the middle of each one of those rows. Almost to the end, but not quite. Almost, but not quite. This part, to me, is just fun. I like this because you can be free and easy with it. And it's not super light. Like, it doesn't drastically change the look of anything. And it's just in the middle, like so. And then you're going to dry it. Now you're going to take that same puddle, and you're going to add a little more baby duck to it to make an even lighter value. There we go. And then you're going to make another stroke in the middle of that first one. Again, not quite as long. So each one that you do is going to get a little bit shorter. And add more yellow. A little bit shorter still. They do not need to be perfect. Look at that. And again with the baby duck. So each time you do this, it's going to get a little lighter. Until finally, that last mixture is going to add a little bit of warm white to your puddle. And this is one of your last. I love this method because I think it's nice and loose. And it gives you a nice little lightness in the middle of this. Hi, John Ross. Nice to meet you. And happy birthday. Yep. So once I have that to that point, I'm going to dry this. And then we're going to put a nice little highlight in the middle with a tiny bit of baby duck and warm white. This is going to give us that nice sunny little bright highlight in the middle. White by itself is a little too bright, so it needs to have that little bit of white undertone. And this is our little stroke right in the middle. Right there. So I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to start shading. And this is where you really start to see a difference. Remember those little gaps that we painted in? You can still see them in there. And especially at the edges, it doesn't look all that pretty. But we're going to change that in just a second. So I'm going to grab a 1/2 inch angled shader. This is a faux squirrel. Hi, Louise. And Cindy, hello. So we're going to pick up a little bit of asphaltum here. Now this is a great shading color, but whenever you're shading something that is cylindrical or has a massive curve in it, your shaded side has to have a wider shadow than the one on the highlight side. So the one closest to the light source has a narrower, and the one farthest away has a deeper one. So there we've got a nice little shadow on that side. It's going to be darker yet. Hi, Suzanne. Now I'm going to float in. Now the nice part about doing the shading at this point is that we haven't painted our sunflowers yet. And so if we happen to get a little asphaltum over top of them, it's okay. It doesn't create anything that cannot be fixed. Just like that. So this one is dry, so I'm going to deepen this one a little. Oof, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So our scalp is really starting to take shape. So I'm going to take a little bit of glaze and a little bit of asphaltum. I'm going to thin this out quite a bit. And we're going to put a float right here underneath each of those ridges. Right into that ridge. So that darkest value should be right on that line. And it gives that scalp a really nice shape. Now you've heard me say it before, that you don't always have to have a fully opaque base coat. And this is a perfect example of why. Because in total, we've put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers of color over that initial base coat. And we've got a pretty nice little scalp. Now, at any time, if you feel that it needs deepening or cleaning up, this is where you get to do that. So you can deepen the shading in those places, like so. Little narrow float, any place that you feel needs it. You can come back in and put a little darker float in there to clean things up so that everything looks nice and neat. And now I'm going to use a rigger And we're going to paint the opening of the skep with a little bit of asphaltum. And this is where I get to clean up my little boo-boos. If my skep is not neat and tidy, if the opening needs a little something something, if it ceases to look curved like it did, I can fix it. And then you can also take a fine line of asphaltum, particularly underneath that little highlight in places. I like to bring a little line in just a few little spots. It doesn't have to be everywhere. But it's a great way to give that a little more depth. Oh yes, I do boo-boos. I just know how to make them go away. That's the difference. And believe me, I make my fair share. Why do you think I paint things 4 or 5 times? Because I have to fix my boo-boos. There we go. So, nifty little skep, and this works really well. Now, I like a little bit of texture in there. So, I usually will grab one of my black gel pens, and I will use just, sketchy little line in here. And I do mean sketchy, just sketch it in. Just like so. And then I like the little stitch marks. So 2 little stitch marks, alternate them back and forth around this thing, like so. It just helps give the skep a little texture that kind of gets lost after a little bit. And I love this look. Those little stitch lines just help make this look a little more textured. And you can do the edges as well if you feel so inclined. So if you want to add some texture to the edges, you can do that with a pen as well. So I'm going to dry the ink. Make sure it's nice and dry. This is just such an easy way to do it. To get that dimension, it's super easy. So I'm going to make sure that that is nice and dry. And I think we're going to do the word honey. So our base color for the word honey is baby duck. And I'm going to be using a number 2 or a 0 rigger. Either one will work just fine. And we're going to base the letters. And this time around, you're going to be as neat as you possibly can be. Just so that we get a fairly uniform base coat, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm only doing 1 coat, so be generous with your paint. Hi, Dawn. Everybody's always worried about coming in late. This is recorded, you know. You can watch the video at any time. But we're just glad to have you. There's Lucy. Our girl Lucy. We have so many regulars. And the girls from my membership group. They're crazy and they're wonderful. The girls and guys from my membership group, I should say. We have Edward and Patrick. And my membership group for the month of May, we're doing colored pencil. Oops. I just whoopsied here. Now I have to fix it. There we go. We are doing colored pencils this month. So one of two things will happen. I will scare them all half to death. And they'll all close off their memberships. Or they're going to have a great time and tell all their friends. So those are the two options. And I want to tell my membership girls that flowers are supposed to be delivered today. So to those of you who donated, thank you so much. Our girl Linnell should be getting them today sometime. Hopefully. We got a very large arrangement with a beautiful mixture of flowers. I have a photograph of it if you'd like to see it. So, oh, I'm in love with colored pencils. We're doing botanicals, and the one that we're doing is based on an 18th century design, 18th century botanical. And it's on my desk. I give them such terrifying things at times that I'm amazed that they don't run for the hills a lot of the time. No worries, Betty. Can I show you? Of course I can. Of course I can. So, I don't even know if you can see this, but here we go. I'm trying to turn it because we've got the way the lights are right now. It's glaring. So we are doing a botanical. This is based on an 18th century botanical. It's a challenging one, but I think they will do fine. I absolutely love working in colored pencil. And I have not been working with them for very long. when the world shut down in 2020, I decided that that was the perfect time for me to pick up my colored pencils. Because I hadn't, well, just to pick up pencils in general, because I hadn't done any meaningful drawing since I, began teaching and designing, because it isn't essential in this part of the design world. Hi, Mickey. Just the cherries are not as hard to do. I think it's a challenge, yes, but I don't think they're hard to do. The biggest challenge for me was selecting colors, and still is. Takes me a while with colored pencils, because you really have to think about what you're painting. With acrylics, it's a little different. I think mainly because it's a medium that I'm very comfortable with, so I don't have such a hard time selecting colors. But with colored pencil, it's not the same thing as acrylic, so you have to kind of think in a different way when it comes to color. So I find that was perhaps the hardest part of it. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to quickly put one more coat on this lettering, because even with the white, it's still not covering as well. So just a little. I'm not worried about the bottom. I am worried about the top, though. There we go. Just a couple of spots there where it's not as opaque as I would like it to be. So I fix. Okay. Excellent. I understand. I'm not typically fond of bowls of fruit, things like that either, but I think when it comes to working with something, especially something like cherries, where they have such a slick outer skin, and then, sort of that pulpy, striated interior, there's plenty of opportunity to learn in there. So that's been the primary focus of it. Okay, so we've got yellow lettering, and it's pretty boring at this point. So I want to make it look like honey. So I'm going to take a little bit of salted caramel, and I'm going to float across the bottom of the letters, and I'm going to walk the color up to roughly the halfway mark. So right about there. And I kind of let that color fade out a little bit. And I like walking color up. I'm always fascinated by the gradients that you can create. So I'm walking the color up from the bottom, darkest value at the bottom of the letter, like so, and walk it up to about the halfway mark. And this salted caramel is a really good color for this. It's a little more opaque than a standard yellow. It's a little darker. And we can work in layers if we need to make it even deeper. So it takes on that nice rich golden tone. There we go. Salted caramel is just, it's a great color. And although it looks more like a brown, when you look at it in the bottle, it's a deep golden yellow, and it's just perfect for this. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to deepen this quite a bit because I really want to see nice rich color in this one. And it's not a hard color to layer. Once it's dry, it really does beautiful things. So look at that. So we've got a nice, 2 floats. We've got a nice rich honey tone. Loving it. Oof. Yum. I'm going to dry that. I'm going to deepen that one. There we go. So we've got that gorgeous tone on there. I'm going to dry it, and then we're going to put, we're going to use a little bit of saffron yellow. Now, saffron is a really transparent yellow. It's an in-your-face yellow. What's a sub for salted caramel? You could use marigold. Marigold will do the trick. So I'm going to take a little bit of saffron yellow, and I'm going to float right over the caramel, and then I'm going to come past the edge of that last float and bring the yellow up. So right over it. So we're now about 2/3 of the way up each letter. Now, what this saffron does is it tones that brown and makes it a little more vibrant. And it carries that color up a bit. Saffron yellow has got some heat to it. And I love this tone. It's so pretty. So now we've got that nice blended value going up the letter. Yummy. So I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to use a little bit of asphaltum. Now this gives us a little deeper value, and we're only using a tiny little bit. We're not using a lot of it. Going to blend that out quite a lot. And the only place we're putting it is right at the bottom of the letter. We are not dragging this color up too far. We're coming maybe a third, less than a third the way up. Just enough to darken the bottom. There we go. Ooh, yummy. Saffron yellow, when you put it over top of yellows, it brings in a lot more heat. So you have these beautiful yellow tones, especially in that baby duck. But it's a very white, very flat yellow, and it kind of ends up looking a little lifeless. When we put that saffron or the caramel on, that deepened the color, but it still looked a little subdued. When you put that saffron on, all of a sudden now it's got some heat. That brings all the heat. And then you bring that little bit of asphaltum in at the bottom. So now you've got all your honey tones back again. Gives you the look that you've got a little bit of heat. So I'm going to take a tiny bit of warm white, just a tiny bit, and I'm going to put a little float of it right at the top edge of each letter. Tiny little float, doesn't have to be much. Most of it is thinned. Tiny little float. So it just subtly lightens the yellow at the top. Hi, Serena. And Wanda. So I'm going to dry that, and then I'm going to show you how you can fix some little boo-boos in this piece. Because I have a couple, and I don't like them. So I'm going to use my rigger, and I'm going to use, this is a 0 rigger, and a little bit of Prussian blue. So there's a couple of spots on this one that I'm not thrilled with, and this is one of them right here, where I kind of lost the curve. There's another one right here. So a little stroke, fine line of that Prussian blue. It's just on the shadow. There's another little boo-boo over here, where it just kind of got away. And one right here. This one was driving me bananas. I lost the separation between the letters because I got a little too heavy-handed with the baby duck. So this is where you can fix little bobbles and wobbles and things that you're not pleased with. You can take just a fine line of Prussian blue and you can fix those things. And that fine little line is going to give you a nice crisp look. It'll take care of those little boo-boos for you. And I went with a fine line of Prussian blue because that's what we shaded these letters with. Initially, when we did all of that advanced shading, we did it with Prussian blue. So you can't see where those lines are. So this is the fun part, is highlighting these. Didn't really want to go in and do it with a pardon me, with a liner brush, because that would be boring. I'm forever fixing my fixes. Yes, I agree. I do the same thing. So I've got a white Posca pen, and I'm going to pull a straight line down the side to just about the middle of the cross there, so roughly the halfway mark. Do the same thing to the O. And you're coming in about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Now the trick to this one is to keep all of those lines in the same height, roughly. Oops. And then below that, you're going to put 2 dots. Right at the end of it. And this gives our honey that slick look. And it's a simple way to highlight the letters with a minimum of fuss. And I love the look of it. It gives it kind of a, like it's inside a glass kind of look. Oops. Super easy. And it's a fun way to do that. So the only thing, make sure that your Posca pen is completely dry before you go to tackle the next thing. And then towards the end, we'll take our black eraser and clean up all of those graphite lines that are still showing. So next, we're going to move on to those leaves. And these are easy to do. One of my other new favorites is this one, Avocado Toast. It's a great color. This is a great green. It's a little more vibrant than, say, a lush green or antique green. And it actually covers, not too bad. It's a pretty good coverage. The color number for this one is DA430. And this was a new color last year. And this one is just fun to work with. Now, the leaves on sunflowers are a bit serrated. So I'm going to, as I stroke this green in, I'm not going to try and cover up any of those rough edges on the edges of the leaves. I'm just going to go with it. I love this color. And it works so nicely. And we're only using one coat. Super easy. I love the irregularities in this. Now our sound is working fine. There we go. So when I'm stroking these in, I'm trying to keep that coverage pretty good. Just enough to cover the white. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Here we go. And we still have one little bit of lettering to do, which is just the fresh local up at the top. And that's going to be done with that mountain mist. So there we go, we have leaves done. It is such a pretty green. And I find myself using it an awful lot. Make sure everything is good and dry. Now the two colors that we're going to use, we're going to shade with a little bit of plantation pine and a little bit of margarita for our highlight. Now plantation pine is a really nice transparent green. What's an equivalent to mountain mist? You can use Williamsburg blue or uniform blue, either one. So I'm going to use a 3/8 angle for this. And we're using plantation pine. I love this color. I love this green. And we're going to put a nice U-shaped float at the base of the leaf where it joins stem. So, and if it's a flower there, you've got a shade underneath it. So shade right into those little deep areas. And bring your color down. And plantation pine is really great on this avocado toast. Now, if you don't have plantation pine, you can use black forest green, which is another one that I've been using quite a lot lately. Or you can use black green. But the plantation pine has a really nice tone to it. It's a nice earthy green. It's dark but not heavy. And it's transparent, so you can layer it up if you need to. Looks pretty good to me. And then on these little leaves, it's just a little C-shaped or U-shaped float like that right at the base of the leaf. Keep it simple. So I'm going to dry that. And then we're going to put in the center vein. Is Mountain Mist a new color? Yes, it is. It's one of the new colors launched this year for 2026. I do have the most recent updated color chart for Decor Americana. If you would like a copy, I'm going to load it onto the website in the free educational section of the website. And if you're not sure where that is, if you look at my website, there is a menu at the top of the page, and it has a variety of things listed in. But one of the last things is the word more, M-O-R-E. And you can click on that and then go down the menu to the educational material page. And I'll get that loaded up as soon as we're done here today, so that you have a copy of the newest color chart. So there I've got nice little center veins. Now I have a PDF for it. As a matter of fact, I will show it to you. It's right here. This is the new Decor Americana color chart. Full and complete. It has the 12 new colors listed in it. So I want to check something. Avocado toast. Slate gray, gray sky, sand gray. I love sand gray. I think that is one of my all-time favorites. Seems like an odd thing to say. How do you know which way to shade your center veins? When I look at my leaves, this one curves that way, this one curves that way. I generally put it on the top, darkest value down, and it depends on which way the leaf is pointing. So on this one's pointing up, so I put my shadow that way. This one is going that way. And I very rarely put them dead in the middle. Always higher on the shaded side. So if I've got a shadow on this side of the leaf, I try to make it a little off center, so that the lower side or the highlight side is going to be a little bit bigger than the shaded side. So that's our shadows. Super simple. Plantation pine is a really nice tone, and it works so well with that avocado toast. Hi, Brenda. Besides asphaltum, yes. I have numerous favorite colors. So our highlight on this is going to be a little bit of margarita or matcha green. So little highlight. It doesn't have to be a really obnoxious highlight either. Subtle is best. Besides, we're going to, oopsie daisy, I got way too much paint there. There we go. We're going to lighten up our highlights without actually adding more light color to the highlights. One of the things that I've seen a lot and have done a lot is when I'm painting something, suddenly run out of oomph. Trying to put highlights in and then realize that, white only gets so white. That it's hard sometimes to get a really great highlight because you can't go any further. White is as far as you can go. And it's the same when you're using a light green. Well, you can only get as light as the green that you're working with. Right? So, unless you're going to change the green altogether, you don't have a whole lot of options. So, these highlights are pretty subtle. They're there, they're plenty bright, but they're pretty subtle. So, I'm going to show you something. So, I'm going to take a little bit of asphaltum. I'm going to blend it out a little bit. Now watch this highlight when I do this. 9 times out of 10, if your highlight is not bright enough, change your shading. Deepen your shading. Go in with another float of green or go in with a little bit of asphaltum. If your highlights are not looking bright enough, you can't get them any whiter than white, take a little bit of asphaltum or a little bit of your shading color and deepen your shadow. And then your highlight will pop. Look at that. It popped. So I'm going to dry that. And then we're going to paint a sunflower. Ta-da! Hi, Val. So I'm going to use a smaller round still. I'm pretty sure I have something smaller. Oh, there we go. I have a number 1 round. And I'm going to use a little bit of baby duck. And I'm going to stroke in carefully the petals on my sunflower. As I said, I'm using a number 1 round. And we're going to use 1 coat of baby duck. Easy peasy. And this is so much simpler because we've already done the leaves. Would the plantation give you the same effect as asphaltum? Absolutely. You're just changing the value. Yeah. Each time you put a layer of that darker green on, it's going to get a little darker. And as soon as it gets a little darker, it creates contrast with the highlight. So it does the same thing. Brenda Schock, this is called a skep. And for a very long time, that was what beehives looked like. These were made out of straw. I've seen them made out of rope too, like hemp. There we go. For many, many years, that's what they were made out of. That's what they looked like. There we go. They are prettier. The unfortunate side is that they were not all that stable. And so the bees were at risk a lot of the time. But they're not used very often anymore. I know for a lot of it, they're simply decorative now. I love bees. I'm even wearing one. I always have this one around my neck. I have a sterling silver bumblebee that hangs around my neck. I've had it for years. I have plants in my flower beds that are geared towards attracting bees and butterflies. Anytime you get something that warps, it's usually because moisture got in there. So it's a good idea to seal everything beforehand, especially plywoods, balsas, things like that. They're thinner woods. They have a tendency to buckle and warp quite easily. I haven't had that problem with MDF. Pardon me. So there we are. Almost there. I've only got a couple more sunflowers to paint. I like this particular type of sunflower because it's very loose. You don't have to worry about perfect little strokes. Thank you. Well, it is spring, and the maple trees are out in my front yard. They're blooming. So the minute they do that, I start sneezing all the time because even though technically I'm not allergic to pollen, I am allergic to whatever it is they produce in the springtime before they start blooming. And so I sneeze a lot. And there is a fix if you got something that you've painted that warped after you painted it. There is a quick fix. Get a nice little tea towel, something that you're not afraid to ruin, and fold it so it's nice and thick on your table. And you do want a rigid surface like a table. So put a towel down, like fold it in half so it's 2 layers thick. Put your finished piece face down on the tile, or on the towel, I should say. Spray the back with some water and put a towel over top of it, like a tea towel, and then press your iron to it. Just a household iron. And then just press it well so everything gets nice and hot. And then place another piece of wood or something larger than the surface that you're working with on top of that, and then put about 20 pounds of weight on it. Go get a big bag of flour or something and throw some weight on it. The steam will help soften the wood. If you try to do it without using the iron, it'll break. But you can flatten it back out and then just leave it overnight till it's completely dry. And that will usually solve the problem. Especially with those plywood pieces in the Baltic. Yep. Any like those balsa wood pieces or plywood pieces have a tendency to warp. And I found that that's the easiest way to handle it. So we have sunflowers. A number of years ago, I had a client. He had a plant that had one of those waterers in it. They went away for a week, and when they came back, something had happened to the plant and it broke. And the table underneath it, the tabletop warped. And it was a beautiful table. It had a faux wood, or not a faux wood, but a faux marble look on it. And his wife loved the table. She wasn't fond of the marble, but she loved the table. So he came into the shop and asked if we could fix it. And I said, well, I can't fix the paint. I can change the paint. We could do another marble or granite or whatever you want, but we have to get rid of that warp. And that's what we did. We steamed it. We steamed the wood, and then we laid it onto a surface, big steel rigid surface, and then we ironed it literally, and then put a big heavy piece of metal on top of it, and then put a weight on it and kept it there for about 3 days till it completely dried. And then when it was completely dried, we sanded the 11 daylights out of it, put it through a surface planer, and repainted it to look like granite. She got to keep her big, beautiful table. So there are our sunflowers. And I love this part. You can use orange flame for this. I'm partial to tea berry. I like tea berry on it. Yes, Karen, I did at one point. For about 4 years. I lost my orange flame. So originally I used orange flame, but today I'm going to use tea berry. Yep. And weighting it keeps it flat, so when it dries and cools, it flattens out nicely. So just because it warps doesn't mean it's lost. A lot of the time you can, if you remember to moisten it first and then use the heat. If you try to straighten it without those two things, it's very often the wood will break. Jess is in Maine, Deborah. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of tea berry. I love this color. If you haven't seen this one, it is absolutely phenomenal. This is tea berry, and it is a gorgeous corally red orange. It's a beautiful tone. And the color number for this one is DA419. And we're going to shade each of the petals with a short little float right down at the base. I love this because it brings out a nice corally orange tone in this. And any of those little hiding, I call them hiding petals, we're going to shade those too. Just like that. I still say that most people in Maine are Maritimers. They just don't know it yet. I have oodles of family in Maine. My brother-in-law and my 3 nieces and their families and their grandchildren. Aren't they, Sherry? I totally agree. I love orange flame for yellows and oranges. Yeah, we are. So much alike. Right now, my laundry room is filled with my little seed starter trays and my and my grow lights. So I'm going to be starting my seedlings in the next week. I'm trying to decide which herbs to put in this year. I want some lemon balm, and I have to get some rhubarb in. So I love this color. You know. I like using colors that make things pop. And although I used orange in the first one, this tea berry has very often become a favorite of mine. It's like, how pretty is this, right? Whoa. It was way too early for us to put tomatoes out. So I'm going to dry that. And remember the color that we used on the lettering? That's saffron. I'm going to take a round brush and I'm going to thin out some saffron because I freaking love this color. And watch what happens to these sunflowers when you put this color over top. Your tea berry suddenly becomes this fiery, glowing, orangey yellow. Our soft and delicate little baby duck becomes this vivid and bright sunny yellow. And the colors just become very, very rich. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Deb Schwartz is from down South Shore, Nova Scotia. She's over on near the Lunenburg area in that neck of the woods. And Karen Jones is originally from the island, Prince Edward. She's an islander. There's lots of good people from the East Coast. Myself, my family is from Nova Scotia, but I live here in New Brunswick. My husband is from northern New Brunswick. I heard the cutest quote the other day. I don't know who said it, but they were talking about, people moving to Canada. And the quote was, Canadians come from all over the world. They just haven't come home yet. Which I thought was a pretty neat description of Canadians and new Canadians. So there's that little bit. Look what that saffron does for What did I miss? Come on up. Come on up, Jess. You're not far away. So look at that little bit of saffron just pops those sunflowers like big time. Very pretty. So we got our leaves in. We've got all that heat in those sunflowers, which I just love. But now we got to do the center of this. And we need a little bit of lamp black. I love a little bit of lamp black. So we're going to put a little divot in the center of our flowers. Just a little one. So again, with that little U-shaped float, we're going to tuck that in there. And a little one in there. And I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to put a shadow at the base. Oh, I'd love to go to Montana. Now, interestingly enough, when I was a kid, I spent a little time in the States. I lived in the States for a while. I lived just outside of Kansas, like outside of Kansas City, military installation out there. And also lived in, we spent a little bit of time in Fort Benning, Georgia. And we spent time in Rochester, New York. So I've got that shading in, and it's not a big one. It's just a little shadow, a little black at the front, and in that little divot in the middle. Deborah Karen is from Prince Edward Island. So now that we've got that shading in, I've got a nifty little trick. I'm going to find my round. Now the brown, we're going to pick up a little bit of asphaltum on the round brush. Yes, she's a Spud Islander. And I'm going to pick up just a tiny little bit of margarita. Hi, Sharon. And then we're going to take that mixture and just tap along the top and along the bottom of that little shadow. Along the top and then along the bottom. And this is going to give us a little highlight. Nothing fancy, just tap it in. She's from Summerside. Here we go. So now we've got that little bit of texture. She was home, and she was here too. So I'm going to dry that, and we're going to add a little texture to the centers of these flowers. My favorite way. I'm a big fan of dip dots. So across the top and out onto the petals of the flowers, we're going to add just a few, oops, that's big, but little dots of warm white. So just a few tiny ones along the bottom one and a few on the top. And those little highlights, just not too many of them. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to bury everything that you've just done. We need to put a little few out there, and then just along There. I like it. And then I'm going to take a little bit of lamp black on a brush that isn't full of water. And we're going to add a couple of little dots in the center and then a few along the bottom. And always try to get a few to overlap onto the petals, just a little. And there we go. A few little black dots. And I like a few little dots. Again, I like them to come past the edge of the petals, the edge of the center, and come out onto the petals just a little bit. And then try to keep them fairly small. You don't want them to be big honking dots, but there we go. So they still look like a 4-year-old painted them, but that's okay. I'm going to grab my favorite liner brush. I'm going to be using a 5/0 liner. And we're going to use a little bit of baby duck. And I'm going to mix that with a touch of warm white. Okay, that was not a touch. There we go. And we're going to make this about the consistency of milk. It needs to be quite light. And then we're going to stroke in a fine line around the outside edge of these petals with that light mixture. And it can go off the petal. It does not have to be perfect. The fun part about it is that you can put in some little curlicues. You can add some fun little details with this, but they don't have to be perfectly on the edge of the petal. Deborah, Karen, and I go way back. Like 30 some years. Almost as long as you and I. Well, you know, give or take 25 years. Deborah Schwartz and I go back to childhood. Our fathers served together. So we've known each other since we were very, very young. And Karen and I have known each other for more than 30 years. And the only person that I've known longer than Karen is Nancy Kalyanook, that's in there too. So, you know, Nancy and I have to be old friends because she knows too much. And Karen and I have known each other since our children were born. Military wives. I don't know, is Nancy still in here? So I love this look. I think those... So having that little outline just kind of gives them a softer look. And it's fairly easy to do. It doesn't require any fancy stroke work, but it does require a little patience. And I love adding that little flip for those, 38 years. That's crazy. Well, I think I well, I've known Deborah probably close to 60 years at this point. Because I think we were like 2 or 3 years old when we met. We were just little. So yeah. But it's a blessing to still have those people in your life after all these years. To still have those friends after 30 some years and 50 years. Yeah, 60 years. Wow. And Nancy Kalyanick and I have been friends since our school days, so we went to the same high school together. As I said, we have to remain friends because we know too much. Hi, Liz. Hi, Lois. It's so nice to see everybody here. So I'm just going to quickly finish up this little stroke work. And then we're going to do the same thing to the leaves. And I love when I do this to the leaves. I just love the look of it. The leaves look so delicate and light. Et voila. So the sunflowers look pretty good. And we can go back in with a gel pen and add little details. Ah, well, I consider myself pretty lucky too, Deborah. So I'm going to take a little of that margarita that we had there. And I'm going to add a little bit of warm white to it. And again, I'm going to thin this out. And this is how I love outlining my leaves. I don't want a straight line. I want something loose and squiggly. And then I can add those fun little details to the tips of the leaves. And sunflowers' leaves are usually a little serrated. 59 months. That's crazy. Jess has been with me, I think, right from the very beginning. That's nuts. I'm not quite sure who that says more about, Jessica. You or me. Hi, Bev. So I love that gentle outline. It's not a hard outline. It's delicate and simple. And you can do these little leaves. Same way. I start on the stem and then give the leaf a delicate outline. Nothing over the top. You just need a little practice with that liner brush, that's all. And you're also going to use that color to do your little vines and tendrils. I love a good vine. And I love a good tendril. And I think we need a little one over here too. Here we go. So I'm going to dry that real quick. And we're going to tackle this lettering up top here. We're going to use that Mountain Mist, which is that new color from Decor. It's such a pretty color, but I need to get a clean palette because this is a mess. That's awesome, Kay. I think it's important. You got to have a friend that knows all your secrets. Okay, so I've got 0 to a number 2. Tendril care, yep. And the color I'm using is that new color. Oops, that's Williamsburg blue. I grabbed the wrong one. You could use that too, but this is Mountain Mist. Like I said, it's only about 1 value lighter. The only thing better than a good friend is a good friend with wine. So we're going to paint in, pardon me, I'm losing my voice again. We're going to paint this lettering with Mountain Mist. I think I grabbed the only rigger I own that's got a split in it. And I refuse to throw it out. Because it's driving me crazy with that split. Gotta get another rigger. Yep, that's the one, all right. Oh, that's better. Mountain Mist is just such a gorgeous tone. It's just that wonderful mix between a gray and a blue. And like I said, if you don't have it, you can use Williamsburg. There's not that much of a difference. Certainly not enough to make, can I fix the split? I probably can. And it just means I'll have to give that brush a really good cleaning. It's probably just paint in the ferrule, that's all. What do you struggle with, Denise? What part of working with the rigger is hard? Most of the time, if you're struggling with a rigger, it's simply the mechanics. And that can be dealt with. Is Mountain Mist similar to Blue Mist? No. Blue Mist has a tendency to look, it leans more towards a teal tone. This leans into the gray. Oh, I know. I love this color. It's fabulous. okay. I'll show you. It's an excellent chance to do this. Okay, the mechanics of using a rigger. A lot of the time, and it's inherent, when we're loading a rigger, see what I'm doing? I'm literally pulling paint out, mixing it with water or with glaze, either or. Now the thing about a rigger is look at the chisel edge. See how it's squared off, it's flat? We have a tendency to twist it because it reminds us of a liner. Don't. Just before you go to your surface, pat your brush out like that so that you get that chisel edge. And then the trick, hold that chisel edge at a 45-degree angle. So when you go to base coat something, you press down and you come back up on the chisel edge. Trail into it, press down till it fills the space, and then come back up on the chisel edge. So for O's, C's, S's, this is very important. Start at the top of the letter, press down, you know what, Janet? That color is actually, I think that would be the closest, but it's still more gray than that. So you don't twist the brush, don't turn the brush, pat it flat so you get a chisel edge. Don't twist the brush, even when you're doing this. Always keep that chisel edge at a 45-degree angle. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to it. But if you practice that, keeping it at that 45-degree angle, yes, exactly, Donna. Treat it like a calligraphy brush. So anything that's curved is going to look like that. When you're doing letters, tall, skinny ones, straight edge into the curve, press down till it fills the space, come back up on the chisel edge. This is a rigger, but from a different company. There. So that's the mechanics of it. Straight, anytime you're doing something with a curve, 45-degree angle. If you're doing something that is vertical, keep the chisel on straight ahead. That's the easiest way. Hopefully that helps you. But yes, and you don't even realize that you're doing it, that twisting it. We think of it like a liner brush where you have to bring it to a point, where with a rigger you do not. You want to get it to a chisel edge. And it can be frustrating when you're doing this and it's just not giving you what you need. So here's that straight letter that I talked about. Whoops. I got a little heavy-handed there. Straight across. It does take a little bit of practice. This one is from Jack Reichson. This is a Gray Matters. This is a zero rigger in the Gray Matters. Very nice brush. Jack Reichson sent me a set of their riggers, and I've been trying them out for the last little while. Quite nice. And tough. I gotta tell you. They, I don't know what they make their brushes out of, but it's pretty durable because they've gotten a workout with me. Okay, we're almost there. Now, as I said, I don't have a wheel today, but I do have some prizes to give out. So what we'll do is when Renee comes home, we'll load up the wheel and we will give her a spin, and I'll post the winners on Tracy Moral Lives group page. Probably right above this video. Take care, Donna. Have a good weekend. Oopsie. Oh, I'll have a couple of things to fix, but that's okay. You can get these right from Jack Reichison's website. And if I'm not mistaken, Dick Blick sells them too. Here we are. Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, they sent me a wonderful set of these. They're just, I'm really quite enamored with them. So I'm going to dry this real quick. And I'm going to use my other rigger, the one with the split in it. Okay, the brand is Gray Matters, and they're by Jack Reichison. It's called a signing brush is actually what they call it. So I'm going to grab a little bit of Prussian blue. That's my boo-boo paint. And this bottle is almost empty. There we go. So I'm going to thin a little bit of this out with that fine rigger, and I'm going to put a line on the shaded side. Remember we shaded all of these areas? Well, I'm going to use that Prussian blue, and I'm going to clean up a few little boo-boos here. Those little boo-boos are just areas where the paint kind of got away from me. And then I got a little one here that I boo-booed. Another one there. And as I said, most of that... Oh, you're welcome. And for those of you that don't know it, DecoArt owns Jack Reichison now, so... Here we go. There we go. Yep. So that new color is just so pretty. That mountain mist is just a lovely, lovely color. Fix this. Lord, I made a mess of this. There we go. So I'm going to dry that really well, and then we're going to shade the bottom of the lettering. Yes, you can get them from Decor. So we're going to take a little bit of that Prussian blue and we're going to float the bottom of each of these letters with just a little float, and it's going to come up about 1/3 of the way. Just let it fade out. We just want to make the bottom of the letter a little darker. So it does not have to be perfect. And the nice part is because we're working over top of that dark blue, if it happens to slide off, it's not that big a deal. There we go. So little float right across the bottom of each letter. And I like to bring it up. I like walking it up a little bit. It just, I don't know, just gives a little more depth. Okay, I didn't quite bring it up high enough over here. There we go. Excellent. So I'm going to dry that and then we're going to tackle our bumblebee. So we need a little highlight on our lettering. So I've got a white Posca pen. And just like I did the highlighting down here, we're going to add, oh goodness. Great, I've got one that leaks. I'm going to put a nice light highlight on my lettering. I love Posca pens for this, simply because we're more comfortable using a pen. And using that little bit of white really pops this lettering out. So there we go. I've used a white Posca pen. It's a little thicker than I would have wanted. This is a 0.7 millimeter. I like the really ultra fine ones for this type of thing, but they all work. So we still have one more thing to do. We got to do that bumblebee. This is just a fun pattern to paint. What size rigger was it? It was the number 0. So, like I said, in the line drawing, we have this little guy down here. You can place him wherever you want. And I'm quite partial to bumblebees on my pieces. I think you guys figured that out already. I like my bumblebees. I have this one. This is a 2-inch bumblebee. It's a bit bigger, but still quite nice. As I said, you could park them right in the middle. You could put them in a corner, what have you. But I think I'm going to use this little guy. So, but where am I going to put him? Right there, I think. I love me a bumblebee. And this one needs a bee. Now the instructions and the written instructions and the step outs are for the wooden bee, but they're exactly the same. So what we've done here, we're going to do to this little guy anyway. So process is exactly the same, and the color step outs include this little guy, which I love doing that. I just think it's fun. So I have my favorite worn out piece of white graphite paper. And these little guys do not take long to do. Especially when you're just tracing them, because it's just a shape. And I do like this little guy. So there we go. And put my So we're going to start with a little bit of warm white. And we need a little bit, ordinarily I use Bahama Blue on my bumblebees, but not today. I'm going to be using a little bit of that Prussian blue. We're going to thin it right out, of course. So a little piece of Prussian blue. So we're going to start with that warm white. And we're going to base coat the wings. Now this is how you paint a fuzzy butt bumblebee. That's what I call them, fuzzy butt bumblebees. And then the bottom of our bee is also going to be warm white. Ta-da! And he needs a little point. Get your hubby to lunch. Thank you for joining me, Karen. I love those little dimensional items. I love seeing them on things, but sometimes I just want a little something, something. And I'm going to use a little tiny bit of black. Because this little guy's not big, so I'm going to use just a little bit of black. There we go. Of course, if I'm not don't get carried away, he's going to get bigger. It's a signing brush, they call it, but it's a rigger, yes. Oh, I wondered when somebody would ask me that. Gail, what's for dinner tonight? I'm amazed we went this long without somebody asking me that question. Tonight we are having jerk chicken with a vinaigrette salad, roasted Brussels sprouts, and raisin rice. That's what we're having for dinner tonight. There we are. There we go. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of that baby duck. These little guys are just fun to paint. So a little bit of baby duck. And we're going to paint his bottom with one coat of baby duck. Again, I base coated it white just so that the yellow covers well. Comme ça. Oh yes, it is good. Everybody in my house loves raisin rice. And raisin rice, by the way, is really easy to make. Your favorite white rice, whether it's minute rice, whether it's Uncle Ben's, whether it's basmati, doesn't matter. 2 cups of rice, 3/4 of a cup of raisins, 1/2 cup to 3/4 of a cup of Really good raisins. Sun-Maid are the best for this. And then you're going to put that onto steam, and you're going to add about a quarter of a teaspoon of cinnamon to the rice water. And then you're going to soak the raisins first. Then add the raisins to your rice. And I put mine in a rice cooker. And then cook your rice with the raisins in it. When you take it off, they've absorbed all the water. I add 2 tablespoons of butter to it. Mix it up really well. It's ready to serve. It's super tasty. So our next step, ta-da! We're going to use a little bit of that tea berry. Same color we used on those little sunflowers. And I'm going to use a small angled shader for this, and a little bit of tea berry. And we're going to put a little float right there, just like so. I'm going to dry that. And I'm going to do the same thing to the bumblebee that I did to the sunflower. I'm going to take a little bit of saffron yellow just to make his little fuzzy butt bump. I need to dry that. Now I'm going to thin out a little bit of lamp black, and with a liner brush I'm going to give him a fuzzy butt. So a little cluster of oh no, you don't want to, Nancy, you goofball. No, you just soak them beforehand so that they get nice and soft. You don't want to re-puff them up. So I'm going to stroke in with a liner brush. I do the same thing when I add raisins to any recipe. I soak them ahead of time. So now I'm going to take some little white dot, a little bit of thinned warm white, and I'm going to highlight the yellow side with just a few strokes of warm white. And I'm going to dry that. Now I'm going to highlight, you goof. Going to highlight the top of the thorax with a little bit of warm white, going both ways. And the same with the head, just to give him a little shape. I soak mine in warm water before, especially if I'm baking, and I find then it doesn't pull the kimchi bulgogi rice. Oh my God, Sherry, I love that. Here we go. So now that I've got that on there, I'm going to put a little stroke of white there, little stroke of white there. Oh, bourbon would be good. And then I'm going to grab my gel pen. Going to have that handy. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of that Prussian blue, and we're going to shade next to the body on the wings, both sets, just like that. Little float close to the body. Oh, and go and enjoy the derby. Did someone say bourbon? Yes, somebody said bourbon. And then I'm going to use my gel pen to add a squiggly detail around the edges of my wings, like so. I like the scribbly thing. And I'm going to do the same thing around the bottom of the bee. And add a few little dip dots. And give them some antennae. And we have one thing left to do. So we've got bumblebees, we've got letters. I'm going to grab my favorite fugly brush. And we're going to pick up a little bit of warm white and thin it out. And then we're going to lightly spatter our piece with a little bit of warm white. And then I'm going to do it again with a little bit of either black or asphaltum, but only a little. I don't want a ton of it. But I like a little darker color in there too, just to give it a little extra oomph. I'm going to dry it real quick. Nope, I shaded the wings. You can see them. I put a little bit of Prussian blue in there. Now you can take your gel pen and add some little fun details like lines and texture to the centers of the flowers at the base of the petals. I just like that, you know, the 3 little lines type thing. I think it's plenty for this. But you can add as much or as little as you want. I'm just partial to my gel pen. That's my problem. It adds a nice little bit of texture around the center of the flower without adding a ton of color. So the only thing that I have left to do is to show you how to mount that little stand to the back. This is dry now. So I'm going to take a little bit of my favorite craft glue. And it needs to be fairly centered. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back. And then mount that. You can put something heavy on top of that. It doesn't take it very long to dry. Oh my goodness. You're 3 years older than God. And then, once this is dry, you can put a little glue on the kickstand. That's what I call it. On that little wedge. And then glue it into place back there. The glue that I'm using, Carol, is this. It's called Art Glitter. It's designer dries clear adhesive. This stuff is phenomenal. And if you want to check out a really cool website and order some of this glue, go and check out the twifecreations.com. So once your little stand is dry, this is the nice thing about this glue, is it actually sets up very... Is it better than Aleene's? I'm a huge... I do, Kay, but I'll probably paint the stand at the same time. I am a big fan of Aleene's. I do use it a lot, but this has very quickly become a favorite. Yes, on Kathy's page. And there we go. We've got this really fun little fresh local honey sign. And as I said, you can do it on an 8x8 canvas, or you can do it on a piece of 8x8. The pattern will actually fit a variety of things, and it's an easy one to enlarge. Oh, you're absolutely right. I have to sign it. Linda doesn't let me get away with anything. Thank heavens. got my scribblature on it now. So there we go. Now give me 2 seconds. I will switch to the face cam. Hi guys. So there we go. Cute little sign. A lot of fun to paint. A lot of little details, but a lot of fun to paint. So if you get a chance, pick up your brushes and have some fun with this one. Next weekend, we're going to be doing these pretty daisies. I do love this piece. This one is back to basics. We're going to be doing a blended background, some simple stroke work to do these daisies, covering all the basics. We're going to talk about floating. We're going to talk about stroke work, loading brushes, all of those things. And we're going to talk about shading and highlighting. So we're going to cover a bunch, and the end result will be this very pretty little home sweet home sign. So I hope you'll join me. And thanks so much for joining me, as you always do here on Saturdays. I love it, and I love painting with you guys. So I will see you next Saturday at the same time, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, right here on Tracy Morrow Live or on my YouTube channel. Again, didn't have a wheel today, but that's okay. We'll spin the wheel a little later on, and we will post the winners on the Tracy Morrow Live page. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And again, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you. If you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. Hit the big red subscribe button, and that way you'll get notified anytime we go live or when we post new videos. So thanks again. Everybody have a great weekend. Love ya. Mwah. Stay safe. And don't forget to pet your dog and your cats. Take care, everybody.